Hello, my name is Gasper,
My name is Brian.
and today we'll be talking about project-based learning and should it be implemented in our schools. First off, what is project-based learning? Project-based learning is an experimental teaching style where students are encouraged to learn through their own curiosity by doing projects with minimal assistance from the teacher. Students must plan the entire project on their own as well as execute and handle the majority of the design, construction, and delivery. This forces students to be more creative, be critical thinkers, and be independent learners as they must think out of the box in order to produce a project that they can be proud of. These are usually very difficult projects to do by themselves and encourages students to work together. It involves student choice where the students make the majority of the decisions for their projects. They aren't simply following a set of instructions. Because students are handling projects on their own, students will learn based on their own curiosity or student inquiry. It also means that they don't have a pre-planned set of questions to follow and copy, but rather must do the thinking on their own. This enhances their ability to learn the information and retain it. Project-based learning also includes self-and peer assessment rather than teacher assessment. This has its negatives and positives, but for the most part allows the student to learn to be more self-critical. So when was project-based learning first implemented and created? Well, it was theorized and created by John Dewey with the idea of learning by doing in the early 1900s. Implementation of it, however, didn't really happen until the 1960s, where McMaster University used it in their medical program. In the 1990s, however, when the internet started to become more developed, and learning using the internet became a recognized and legitimate thing, project-based learning became more worldwide, with different curriculums and programs implementing project-based learning. Recently, however, many places around the world such as Singapore, Canada, and Finland, etc., have started considering project-based learning as an alternative to traditional schooling. So, a personal experience when we were in the IB system. So in grade 7 we were first introduced to coding and HTML and did projects around that, very small projects. We basically were shown the basics and from then on just did whatever we wanted in regards to that. Needless to say, having the freedom to do whatever we want and make whatever we want doing coding was very interesting to me. I went out of my way to study extra in my free time. And basically what this shows is that by giving students a positive experience, teaching them in a way where students are learning through self-inquiry helps to promote them to learn better as well as retain information better. So this experience and other similar ones kind of helped us to choose this topic. Especially doing projects that give us near total freedom has greatly affected our personal motivation and made us interested in learning. Nowadays, however, where our goals are simply to get good grades, our motivation isn't really there. We're not going to class to really learn about more, just to get the grades. Due to the way on how we feel about going to class and not being motivated or interested to learn, we decided to choose project-based learning as our topic to see how effective it could really be, learn the goals of project-based learning really are, as well as to compare it to our experiences in the past. During this project, we tried to present the topic with what we believe were key points for the reader to understand, as well as points to help in discussing its significance and importance, not just to us but to our target audience being students or teachers, etc. We presented the positives and negatives, the goals of project-based learning, to understand what project-based learning is supposed to do and how it's supposed to benefit students. But at the same time, we also wanted to be critical of project-based learning, to not be too biased and have our opinions skewed in one way or another. In that sense, we're trying to keep a neutral stance. Our experiences were very similar to what is in literature or was written, both in terms of the benefits it provides as well as the negatives. And the major debate that we tried to present is that implementation of project-based learning really depends on the student and many other factors that may be out of our control.
Unlike projects in our current day education model, in project-based learning, students are given the freedom to come up with creative solutions to a variety of difficult problems, rather than following a set of teachers' instructions. Projects in PBL are led by the students' curiosity so that they're allowed to explore what's interesting to them, rather than learning just for the sake of learning. Since they're exploring the topics on their own, the students will be more invested in the topic, resulting in a deeper understanding of the material. Peer and self-assessment is a vital part of PBL as it supports constant reiteration and improvement. Peer assessment also reinforces the evaluator's learning and boosts their self-confidence while giving their peers valuable feedback. What are the negatives to project-based learning? Project-based learning is time-consuming both for the teachers and the students. On the teacher side, there's a lot more upfront work to do, but less work throughout the semester, as they have to create projects that are hard enough to provoke their students' critical thinking skills and interesting enough so that students will be excited to explore the topic. While on the student side, even though there are a minimal amount of projects that can be done in a year, planning, developing, and revising of their work will take up a lot of their in-class time. Also, PBL's effectiveness may be hindered on the students' level of maturity, since teens have notoriously unpredictable attention spans. Action Plan. Step 1. Convincing and educating teachers. Implementing project-based learning into our schools will be a huge undertaking. Not only do we have to convince some teachers on why PBL is worth the effort, but we also need to re-educate them with the mindset of teaching students how to think, rather than what to think. We can try to convince them by bringing them to a school that has PBL already implemented and let them experience and understand the new system. We also need to provide them with many teacher resources and talks from teachers who already have experiences with PBL. Step 2. Prerequisites. Students also have to get used to the idea of PBL. We need to teach them step by step. They need to develop their academic, self-reflection, problem-solving, critical thinking, and their emotional and social skills before PBL can be the most effective way of thinking. Step 3. Implementation of PBL. By the 10th grade, students will have most of the prerequisites needed for PBL to be effective, so teachers can start to immerse the students with PBL projects. First, we need students to get used to creating their own ideas and then executing them. Once the teacher deems that their students are capable with PBL projects, the teacher can start to increase the difficulty of the projects by introducing them to harder questions that may or may not require the students to form a group to solve them. Conclusions. Project-based learning has its positives and its negatives. The effectiveness of this teaching method will be dependent on how it's implemented and the student's level of maturity. If teachers invested the time needed to create challenging problems for students to solve while being caring and understanding people, PBL could produce creative students with a deeper understanding of the topic that traditional learning could never achieve. On the other hand, if students are not mature enough, PBL could be just as or less effective than traditional learning. Should schools adopt project-based learning? Yes, but we think that the most optimal solution is that younger students, from grades 1 to 9, will still be taught with traditional methods while having a few PBL projects sprinkled out throughout the term, so that once they reach grade 10, they'll be familiar with this alternate teaching method and won't have to relearn it. Thanks for listening to our talk, and thanks for a wonderful semester from Brian
And Gasper.